About an hour and a half outside of Toronto, there is a fine dining restaurant that's revolutionizing Canada's food scene. Instead of a garden, you'll find a regenerative farm with a pirate in charge who turned a small patch of land into the home of countless ingredients that don't grow anywhere else. Then there's a competitive figure skater making pastries in the bakery where they don't use chocolate and vanilla, and the menu changes every 2 weeks. This special operation is the brainchild of two incredible people. And instead of running a typical farm-to-table restaurant, they're trying to turn this slice of Canada into a global food destination and uplift the local community and ecosystem along the way. Today we're going off the beaten path and spending the next 24 hours at Restaurant Pearl Morissette, going behind the scenes at their restaurant and bakehouse, and visiting the producers they work with to truly see what makes this place so special, starting with a welcome dinner in their farmhouse.
The restaurant initially started as a collaboration with Pearl Morissette Winery, the location where the farm and restaurant are right now in Niagara in Canada. I was at a point in my career where I was sort of unsure of what I wanted to do next. I had a vision in mind for what a restaurant could look like.
In Canada, I wanted to create a restaurant that was a destination restaurant. A restaurant where Canadians didn't have to go over to Europe to get a good culinary experience, but also teachings and education. So I wanted to have a variety of different ingredients. Canadian cooks got an opportunity to work with those products at a very high level.
Right off the bat, the hospitality that they're showing me is unlike anything I've experienced before. Chef Daniel picked me up from the airport about an hour and a half out of the way to bring me here. They're letting me stay in this beautiful, beautiful farmhouse that is all to myself. But the best part is, when I arrived on this very table, there was already set up a feast, which is exactly what I needed after a long trip. It was incredible food, very homey, and Dan, Eric, Liam, Jess, everyone showed up just to greet me, welcome me, and if that's only the beginning of the adventure, then we're in for quite a treat tomorrow. I mean, this is a beauty. I don't know if you heard that. That's a bird banger. I'll talk about that tomorrow. That's what that is. There it is again. RPM is known for their phenomenal tasting menu, but first we had to stop by their beloved bakehouse, a cozy local spot to enjoy amazing pastries and items from other independent producers and artisans. The bakehouse runs kind of like a startup. The small but incredibly talented team makes this place what it is, like Steven, who was a professional figure skater before picking up baking during the pandemic, and now he's the head pastry chef here.
I would say I think about pastry the same philosophy as the whole business as a culture, to use what's around and always trying to improve into a sustainable manner where it makes sense to make it.
You won't find any chocolate or vanilla here. That's how devoted they are to showcasing local ingredients. There's also always a little surprise in each pastry, like Steven's take on a choux pastry that's a little bit French, a little bit Canadian, and completely different, as well as an incredible buckwheat financier.
We have a Japanese chiffon cake that we bake every other day that goes into the choux. It keeps all the goodness in without making the shell super soft. The fruit is white nectarine and spicebush wood chantilly. I go forage the spicebush wood in Niagara region in a sustainable manner. We break off pieces of wood and it gives a super fruity vegetal flavor to the cream that it's its own thing. The brown butter financier, what makes it different than most is half of the egg whites that we have, we pre-whip it.
Normally they're very dense, like a financier is very dense, but this one we whip our egg whites to a meringue, so it's more of like an airy texture than dense brick.
In the financier, there is a brown butter caramel. On top of the caramel is blitzed up roasted hazelnut with a dry caramel blend. It does not feel as heavy.
This is the first place I ever worked that did a financier like that. I don't think I'm ever gonna not do it like that.
Yeah, sure.
The bakehouse only uses stone-milled grains, which are really hard to find, especially in Ontario, and they're harder to work with than normal flour, but all that effort results in special things like a whopping 7-pound miche and croissants made with 4 different kinds of flour.
It's really important to know exactly where the food's coming from. A lot of the food systems and restaurants that people are a part of work against ecology and work against the natural environment of the world. And a lot of the places that I've chosen to work at are trying to take a stance where they're working with it. Moving back to the Niagara region, there aren't really any other places that are doing what RPM's doing. There's these massive monocultures where big companies just plant a whole heck of a lot of wheat. They go through really, really rigorous lab testing to make the same product every single time. What we see from artisan millers and wheat growers, there are many more differences on how the flour reacts. These people that are doing this are working on such a small scale that they don't have real access to lab technology. When you're getting a bag, you're kind of just baking blind in a way, and then you have to adjust the formula at some other point down the road.
To see where they get some of these exciting and unexpected ingredients for their pastries, we needed to check out the on-site garden, which is like the beating heart of RPM's entire operation. But before I headed out, I had to try an RPM bestseller.
That is so good. The bread is so light but crunchy on the top and bottom. Phenomenal, just fatty, juicy. The sauce is great. This really shows how much love and care they put into all of their stuff. The fact that they're making their own bread, you can see that in the results. This is a bomb sandwich.
When you think of Canada, you don't necessarily think of great produce. But Niagara, where RPM is located, is a microclimate that supports a ton of biodiversity and wine production. So the key part of their strategy to get fresh ingredients all year round is their in-house garden, which they consider an extension of the kitchen. It's a unique process where the gardeners help determine what's on the menu, and we were lucky enough to get a tour by the extraordinary man in charge.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Shane. I'm the farm manager, and I began Restaurant Pearl Morissette 6 seasons ago in my creative endeavor to be able to have the newest station inside of a fine dining kitchen, the farm. And it's my station. I'm Chef the Farm. Welcome to the kitchen's pantry. We built this beautiful perennial herb and flower garden operated by that lovely woman there, Deirdre Fraser, but she's hard at work. Deirdre, woo! We're not willing to use ingredients unless we can find it in our backyard. So your menu this evening will not have black pepper, there will be no citrus, coconut does not exist. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I pick everything that they need by the piece, up to 20,000 pieces per week. And the plants are alive still. Tomatoes by the piece, never see the fridge. I run it like a station inside of a restaurant, but my service is not from 5 until 10, it's from March until October.
Only using ingredients that they can successfully grow in their backyard is definitely a tall order, but they've found creative workarounds for basically every challenge you could think of in running an operation this ambitious.
We take 2 different ingredients, one for taste, one for flavor, mix them together, and then this gives us echoes of flavors we can't find in our backyard. It's your version of lemon.
Whoa.
And this is how we can circumvent the use of certain ingredients. So I can do this with orange, lemon, lime, and then there's a mint that's up in the greenhouse that tastes like banana.
So behind me is this contraption called a bird banger, and what this does is it's meant to, at random times, have this really loud noise to scare the birds away. Looks almost homemade, but oh my god. It goes from sunrise until sunset, and it's right next to the farmhouse. I can see how effective it is at scaring birds away though.
The garden isn't just the restaurant's pantry, but a holistic and self-regulating system that's bursting with life. Shane has even employed 30 cats on the property who do their part to keep the pests at bay.
We've got ducks, we've got cows, we've got silkies, we've got chickens. We want them to build soil. They're foragers by nature. They eat the ticks, they eat the slugs, they eat my lettuce, they eat my tomatoes at times. And they're born on the property every single year. You can see, they're foragers, right? They're getting what they need from the environment.
But the goal here is never to maximize yield for commercial purposes, only to achieve the best flavors while maintaining the health of the ecosystem, and that results in incredibly unique and experimental produce.
This here, this is sweetgrass, please. If you want crab twist, this is used to replace vanilla on the menu. So instead of having oysters on the menu, this is oyster leaf. And this is my favorite. Holy sh**. This is rose thyme. And for me, I think it's like strawberry fruit roll-up. Please. I have the most natural job on the planet. Like, this is my office. I work outside.
Yeah.
I'm up with the sun. I'm down with the sun. I live on property. I work all year long. It's not a job. I love what I do. This is natural. This is the most natural thing that you can be doing with your life, is working with the environment in tandem with Mother Nature, right?
So we just saw what RPM does on their own property, but they don't stop there. The goal isn't just to sustain their own restaurant, but to empower the local community. To understand how they do that, we had to make one more special visit before dinner. But before we head out, this is just one of the many trips I'll be taking as part of a new series called Off the Beaten Path, where I'll be exploring incredible things happening in food outside of city centers. And if we hit 1 million subscribers, one of you will get to visit one of these amazing restaurants with me, all expenses paid, so make sure to subscribe below. RPM works with a progressive group of farmers in the area who advocate for regenerative practices that benefit the ecosystem, and YU Ranch is one of them. They've been providing RPM with sustainably produced beef for years. When we got there, we received the warmest welcome from Brian and Kathy, the owners, who insisted on making us lunch before we toured the farm.
I think for me this is the right smoke anyways. But the rule here is, Michael, once the cooker's going,
You cook everything you can.
the cooker's going.
Yeah. There's a camaraderie there that we have with the different suppliers, because I hate saying it, but there's not a lot of people working the way that we do with ingredients or with sustainable practices or regenerative farms. So when you start kind of connecting with these people, they feel like they've found you as well. Like, okay, good, someone to use this thing that I've been working towards my whole life. It really adds another layer to the bond that you have with different suppliers.
We did a tartare something once, didn't we?
I think maybe one time we did.
Yeah. I think the tartare might have been someone else's beef.
It was somebody else's beef and I was like, yuck.
These days, cattle ranching and sustainability seem incompatible, but Brian and Kathy have been winning innovation awards for decades for their creative methods to produce beef and foster biodiversity.
We sort of were the first to reestablish this native ecotype, and it's provided us drought season feed, but provided habitat for a lot of native species that live here, in particular the bees. Look, all the flora resources in there. So it's an incredible tool for us to be resilient with climate change. But if you listen where the animals are living, face this.
With your camera?
With your camera. That's when you put the native stuff back, that's what you get.
That's super cool. Dang.
Trixie!
She's taking the river crossing.
Soon, it was time to pile into Brian's pickup truck and go meet the cows, which are all Texas Longhorns.
You hopping in? It's like going in Jurassic Park here, right?
It's like the skull.
I think this is about the closest I've ever been.
Wow.
If you watch her, she's a little bit more effective at flapping her ear up over her eye. See that?
Yeah.
If you look at the bull over there, he's having a sleep right now.
Yeah.
Tag me out, Bob.
Pretty sick.
From the bakehouse to the garden to YU Ranch, I loved learning about their truly noble missions, to do more for the environment than they take away from it, and celebrate the kind of biodiversity that you never truly encounter in major cities. But our journey wasn't over yet. For RPM to become a global food destination, the food really has to speak for itself. So we headed back to get ready for dinner.
Everybody here is a weapon. Everybody's after perfection. We just want the best, but not in a consequence of wanting to showcase that to people. That just happens naturally afterwards because we want to be the best at what we're doing here.
7 pods, 1 time uncooked, no shellfish, no raw. Thomas and Taylor, you're going to be running 3 lobster here, going table 4. And C2 is pescatarian, no shell. Robert, you're going to run 2 pods, table 10, please. Jen, where am I going? Liam, you're going to run 2 hen, going table 7. Table 2, we need sauce, please.
I've got pork ready to show here.
Yeah, keep it out.
Star with 1 time application no shellfish.
Yeah.
Has he have 2 1-time Reagan here?
Yeah. Let's go 4 potato here, going table 17.
We are outside the major cities, so you kind of become a little bit of an attraction for people that maybe are fed up with living in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, and so then they start to come into the restaurant, into the ecosystem here. It's really exciting because you have people from all different levels of restaurants. We don't have a lot of local employees, so everyone has generally moved to the area, and so there's a different level of commitment for that.
Before we knew it, it was time for the 17-course dinner we'd been waiting for. A world-class dinner of this scale with dishes that exclusively use and elevate local ingredients is really hard to pull off, but it's really the ultimate platform for RPM to show the world what this region of Canada has to offer.
Our role is to act as not only a terminus for all of these different ingredients and foods, but also to sort of be a public-facing component of this cycle of a holistic food system. A farmer doesn't have a lot of followers on Instagram. They're not welcoming new faces in the door every day and able to really go in depth with storytelling. Whereas for us, that's kind of our specific function. So the best thing that we can do to support this community that's around us is learn from them and listen to them and understand how we can communicate that information to folks coming in the door in a way that they can digest and understand and walk out the door feeling excited and hungry for more.
So this is cod that get hand jigged, no nets, so anything sustainably harvested by a guy named Jerry. Usually comes in still fresh from the catch. We let it age for a little bit, cure it, and then what we do is we wrap it with mousse made from cod, parsley, and scallop. These are some upstate abundance potatoes. So these are the only variety of potatoes that we grow here in the garden. They're just bred to have like the creamiest texture, like mashed potato encapsulated. Enjoy.
Best dish of the night so far. That is crazy. The combo seems so simple. This is just such a flavor bomb of texture. The potatoes are really creamy. The little bits on top are really crunchy. The caviar is really smooth. Gotta lick the entire bowl clean. There's this assumption that farm-to-table food is simple. And yes, their food is simply delicious, but there's innovation behind that simplicity, and these potatoes are the perfect example of that.
It's no more intellectual than that. It's just really focused on the visceral and physiological experience of growing, touching, tasting, smelling, and then being able to enjoy that.
I just have to give a special shout out to the drinks program here because I feel like when a place is able to do a non-alcoholic pairing, but really intentionally, it's amazing. And a few courses in and we get this hazelnut milk, which it's just so light, but a little bit creamy at the same time. Really, really delicious. A little touch of allspice. They actually grow on the garden. This is the first year that they've been growing it. Highly encouraged to get the non-alcoholic pairing because there's a lot of thought that's put into these.
This is a hen egg from the property. At the bottom is a custard that's seasoned with some sweet corn. And then on top we have a little sabayon made from the eggs on the hens of the property as well. A little bit of toasted hay and some wild Acadian caviar.
Amazing. Oh, a little bit of sweetness actually, which I wasn't expecting, but is a beautiful addition to this dish. Every single dish has been a really nice contrast from the previous dish. We're among these almost rolling hills because you have these really big hits of butteriness and then like these lighter notes of sweetness and salinity and acidity, and it's just winter after winter after winter. Are they going to miss is the question? I mean, at this rate, probably not.
Are you familiar with kidney fowl? It's like if chicken was improved in every single way by like 3 times. So it's more savory, more tender, skin gets much crispier. We serve it with a sauce. It's made from the roasted hen bones and some sweet elise, and it's got a flavor that's a little bit like tender broccoli and honeysuckle.
Our second to last savory course of the night was a delicious pork loin with a corn puree. It was aged for 3 weeks and cooked over a grill made from peach wood on the RPM property, so it had this beautiful smoky flavor with buttery earthy notes from chanterelle mushrooms. Alright, what we've been waiting for, that pork that we saw earlier, now we get to eat it. They've struck this unique balance for a fine dining restaurant that I think is hard to pull off, between unbelievably warm hospitality and the meticulous polish that you'd expect from a world-class kitchen. They want to invite conversation and ignite your curiosity about where your food comes from, not just wow you. Even desserts here felt both down-to-earth and exotic. Like the honey that they serve with cheese comes from a certified organic apiary, which I didn't even know was possible. And then there was a rice tart that Eric worked so hard to make a possibility.
So this is rice coming from the Fraser Valley out in BC. It's Canada's only rice paddy. In Vancouver, there's a sake producer that was making Canadian sake. Called them, I sent them emails, anything to get some of this rice. No answers. I saw on their website that they were selling the rice. I ordered 60 kilos of rice to be shipped to my house just to try some of it. Then I got a phone call from them being like, who are you? And so really happy to get my hands on some Canadian rice.
But the highlight had to be this one-of-a-kind black koji ice cream cookie, which combines the earthy fermented flavors of barley that's basically been slow roasted for 2 weeks until it tastes a little bit like Nesquik.
Really delicious. I mean, this place just continues those amazing flavors all the way through. An incredible, incredible meal.
17 courses down and we'd reached the end of our dinner. After an incredible time with the RPM team, my stay was sadly coming to an end. I didn't think I'd have any extra time for more exploring, but true to form, Daniel had one more surprise for me in the morning. Just 10 minutes from RPM is a nature preserve called Balls Falls, and it's straight out of a storybook. The morning we visited, Daniel was the one in for a surprise because he comes here all the time and the historic flour mill is never open. But a volunteer just happened to come by, and because Daniel was geeking out so much about flour and milling, the volunteer spent 30 minutes just showing us around.
The wheat will drop into the hopper, then go into the millstones. The millstones will then grind it all up. From there, it directly goes into our bolter over there.
Yep.
It actually was written in Mr. Ball's diary that for every 100 pounds of wheat that was clean that arrived in the mill, 3 pounds would actually be dirt.
Yeah. So it would arrive winnowed, but not screaming yet, right? Yeah, okay. When you walk in, you're like, this is unbelievable. This is so cool. Anyone would walk in the space and be excited, right?
Yeah.
So our time here at Restaurant Pearl Morissette is over, and everybody that I've met has been incredible, whether it's the team here at Restaurant Pearl Morissette, or the folks at the bakehouse, or Brian and Kathy at YU Ranch, or Shane the farmer who is here every single day of the year. All of it comes together to create something that feels truly magical and special. You feel like a VIP guest no matter who you are. It doesn't matter where in the world you are, this is a restaurant that is worth visiting. Yeah, I'm a little sad to be leaving.
Some people might see being remotely located as a limitation, but it's RPM's greatest strength. The Great Lakes region is a literal paradise of waterfalls and unique flora and fauna. You just have to be looking. RPM just earned their first Michelin star, so it's clear that the rest of the world is catching on to the fact that it's one of the greatest restaurants in the world. And the best part is, this is only the beginning.